Angel Reese had the game-winning layup sitting right in front of her, and somehow she missed it. The game went to overtime. Indiana eventually escaped with 95-91 victory, and then Caitlin Clark was caught smiling as she walked past Reese. That tiny moment exploded across social media, with fans claiming Clark was laughing at Reese. But then an even bigger rumor started spreading, that Reese could actually take legal action over the incident. So what really happened, and is there any truth behind the viral lawsuit story? Main story. Angel Reese entered this matchup, knowing exactly how much attention would surround it. Any game involving Reese and Caitlin Clark immediately becomes bigger than a normal regular season matchup because of the history between these two players. Their rivalry has followed them from college basketball into the WNBA, and every meeting seems to create another moment that dominates social media. This game was no exception. Reese did not have the easiest start offensively. She struggled to consistently convert around the basket, but as the game progressed, her energy began to change. She started finding easier opportunities in the paint, became more active around the rim, and made her presence felt on the offensive glass. During the broadcast, Reese explained that she felt like she needed to take a deep breath and stop overthinking some of her decisions. That comment was important because it showed that she understood what was going wrong and was trying to reset mentally instead of allowing a difficult start to affect the rest of her performance. That adjustment appeared to work. Reese became more involved as the game continued and contributed in several different areas. She wasn't simply scoring, she was rebounding, creating opportunities for teammates, and providing Atlanta with physicality around the basket. By the end of the night, Reese had recorded 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. On paper, those numbers represent a strong all-around performance. In another game, they could easily have been the headline, but this particular night was always going to be remembered for one possession. The score was tied at 81. The clock was running down. Atlanta had a chance to win the game without overtime, and Angel Reese found herself directly underneath the basket with an open opportunity. All she needed was one simple finish. A made layup would have ended the game and potentially made Reese the hero of the night. Instead, the ball didn't fall. The reaction from Reese was immediate. She looked frustrated and disappointed because she knew exactly what had just happened. She had been given the opportunity every player wants, the chance to decide the game with one shot, and the opportunity disappeared. Instead of celebrating an Atlanta victory, both teams had to continue into overtime. And that's when the story took a completely different direction. As Reese was processing the missed opportunity, Caitlin Clark walked toward the Indiana bench. The broadcast camera followed the action and captured Clark appearing to smile as she passed behind Reese. It lasted only a few seconds, but those few seconds were enough to ignite the internet. Almost immediately, fans began sharing the footage. The clip was reposted, slowed down, zoomed in, captioned, and turned into memes. People began debating what Clark's expression actually meant. Was she laughing at Reese? Was she simply reacting to the situation? Was she happy that the game wasn't over? Or was she just smiling because of something completely unrelated? Nobody watching the clip from the outside could know exactly what was going through Clark's mind. But social media rarely waits for certainty. The moment quickly became a rivalry story. Clark supporters treated the smile as a hilarious competitive moment. Reese's supporters saw it as disrespectful. Other fans simply thought the entire situation was another example of how intense the Clark-Reese rivalry has become. Then the controversy became even bigger. Rumors started circulating online that Angel Reese was supposedly considering legal action against Caitlin Clark because of the incident. That claim dramatically changed the conversation. Suddenly, people weren't just talking about a missed layup anymore. They were talking about lawsuits, legal consequences, and whether a player's reaction during a basketball game could somehow lead to a courtroom battle. But there is an important distinction here. The material surrounding the claim does not provide evidence of an actual lawsuit or a verified legal filing. The story appears to have spread through online rumors, social media posts, and gossip-style accounts rather than through confirmed legal documentation. That means a lawsuit claim should not be presented as a confirmed fact. A player smiling after a rival misses a shot during a competitive game is also very different from conduct that would normally establish a legitimate legal claim. Competitive sports have always included celebrations trash talk, reactions, and emotional moments between opposing players. So, while the rumor generated enormous attention, the available information does not establish that Reese actually filed a lawsuit against Clark. And honestly, the bigger story is happening on the basketball court. The history between these two players explains why something this small can become such a massive controversy. Their rivalry goes back to college basketball. In the 2023 National Championship game, Reese famously used the "you can't see me" gesture toward Clark while LSU defeated Iowa. That moment became one of the most recognizable images of their rivalry. At the time, the gesture was interpreted by many fans as confidence, competitive swagger, and part of the emotion of a championship game. Nobody treated it like a legal issue. Nobody believed a facial expression or gesture during a basketball game should become a courtroom matter. It was competition. That same competitive history is still influencing the way fans interpret everything between Reese and Clark today. A smile that might have meant nothing in another game becomes a major headline when it happens between these two. That's why the latest moments spread so quickly. But there's another side of the story that deserves attention. Reese's performance should not be completely erased because of one missed layup. She finished with 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. Those numbers show that she contributed in multiple areas of the game. Her rebounding continues to be one of her strongest skills, and her ability to generate second opportunities has remained an important part of her value to Atlanta. The criticism surrounding her offensive game, however, has also become louder. Some commentators argue that Reese still needs to improve her finishing around the rim. Others have questioned her mid-range shooting, three-point shooting, and ball handling. There is also debate over how much her offensive development has progressed since entering the professional league. But reducing Reese to one missed layup would also be unfair. Players miss shots. Even great players miss game-winning opportunities. The difference is that Reese's miss happened against Caitlin Clark, with the entire basketball world already watching. That made the mistake impossible to ignore. It also created a perfect social media moment. The missed layup, the disappointed reaction, Clark's smile, the overtime, and finally, Indiana winning the game. Everything fit together into one viral storyline. The game itself eventually went to overtime, and Indiana finished the job with a 95-91 victory. Caitlin Clark finished with 26 points and 9 assists, while Reese finished with her near triple-double numbers of 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. The final result meant Indiana walked away with a win, while Atlanta was left wondering what could have happened if that final regulation layup had gone in. That's the brutal reality of professional sports. You can play well for nearly an entire game and still have one possession define the night. For Reese, that one possession became the missed layup. For Clark, the game became another victory in a rivalry that has followed her for years. But the story doesn't end with this game. If the standings remain close, there is a possibility that Indiana and Atlanta could meet again in the playoffs. And if that happens, everything changes. A regular season game gives players another opportunity a few days or weeks later. A playoff game comes with elimination pressure. Every mistake becomes more important. Every possession matters more. Every reaction gets analyzed more closely. Imagine Clark and Reese meeting again with a playoff series on the line. Imagine the game coming down to another final possession. Imagine Reese getting another opportunity around the basket. This time, there would be no room for the internet to debate what a smile meant. There would be no need to focus on rumors. There would be no need to manufacture a controversy. The basketball would tell the story. And that is ultimately what Reese needs to focus on. The best response to criticism is improvement. If she can continue developing her offensive game, improve her finishing around the basket, become more consistent as a shooter, and maintain her elite rebounding ability, she can turn moments like this into motivation. Clark, meanwhile, continues to develop into one of Indiana's most important leaders. Her scoring, passing, shooting, and ability to control the tempo have made her increasingly difficult for opponents to contain. The two players are moving forward on different paths, but their careers remain connected because of the rivalry that began years ago. That's why this one game created so much noise. It wasn't just Angel Reese missing a layup. It wasn't just Caitlin Clark smiling. It was another chapter in one of the most recognizable rivalries in women's basketball. The internet may continue replaying that missed layup for weeks. The smile may continue appearing in memes. Fans will continue arguing over who was right and who was wrong. But none of that will determine their careers. What matters is what happens the next time they step onto the court. Because eventually, the memes disappear. The rumors disappear. The social media arguments disappear. The only thing that remains is the scoreboard. And if Clark and Reese meet again when the stakes are even higher, there will be only one question that matters. Who gets the final shot? And more importantly, who actually makes it